This morning, Elon Musk announcing that for the first time, his company Neuralink has implanted a brain chip in a human. Musk saying the person is recovering well. Initial results show promising neuron spike detection.
A paralyzed man just typed a message using only his thoughts. A car lifted off the ground and flew over traffic. And a robot clocked in for its shift at a BMW factory. This isn't science fiction. This is 2025. Most people have no idea just how rapidly the world is changing. While you were scrolling through your phone, scientists and engineers were quietly building technologies that would have sounded impossible just 5 years ago. So today, we're counting down the 10 most jaw-dropping technologies that actually exist right now. Brain chips reading your thoughts. Let's start with the big one. The technology that sounds the most like science fiction, but is actually happening right now. Neuralink. You've probably heard the name thrown around, but what you might not know is that real human beings are walking around right now with computer chips implanted in their brains, and those chips are reading their thoughts. This isn't a prototype phase anymore. In 2025, paralyzed patients have been surgically implanted with Neuralink devices, and they're using their minds to control computers, type messages, and even move robotic limbs. Think about that for a second. A person who cannot move their body can now think about moving a cursor on a screen, and the cursor moves. They think about typing a word, and the word appears. The first patient to receive a Neuralink implant was a paralyzed veteran who underwent surgery at the Miami project to cure paralysis. This person can now communicate, browse the internet, and interact with the digital world using nothing but thought. No voice commands, no eye tracking, just pure brain-to-computer communication. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Neuralink isn't the only company doing this. There's a whole race happening right now to perfect brain-computer interfaces, and the applications go way beyond helping paralyzed people, although that alone would be worth it. We're talking about a technology that could eventually allow anyone to control devices with their mind, communicate telepathically through digital networks, or even upload and download information directly into the brain. Does that sound crazy? Maybe. But 5 years ago, the idea of a chip reading thoughts sounded crazy too. And now it's real. The ultimate science fiction moment is becoming everyday reality. And if you think brain chips are wild, wait until you hear about this next one. Flying cars. Actually flying. Childhood dream unlocked. Flying cars are real. And before you roll your eyes, let me be very clear about something. I'm not talking about concept art or CGI renders or some billionaire's promise that never materializes. I'm talking about actual flying cars that have been approved by the Federal Aviation Administration, have completed real test flights, and are available for pre-order right now. Meet Aleph Aeronautics. This company has built a vehicle that drives on roads like a normal car and then transitions into flight mode when you need it. And the FAA has given it special airworthiness approval, which is a very big deal, because that means the government has looked at this thing and said, yeah, this is safe enough to operate in American airspace. The vehicle has vertical takeoff and landing capability, which means you don't need a runway. You just lift straight up into the air from wherever you are. Once you're airborne, you can cruise at speeds that would make highway traffic look like it's standing still. And when you land, you fold everything back up and drive the rest of the way like a normal car. Now, is this going to replace your Honda Civic next year? Probably not. The price tag is still pretty steep, and there are obviously a lot of regulatory hurdles to work through before flying cars become commonplace. But the technology works. It's been demonstrated, and pre-orders are live. The future we were promised as kids, where everyone zips around in flying vehicles, that future just became a lot more real. But here's something even more powerful. Robotic exoskeletons, helping paralyzed people walk. Here's one that hits you right in the emotions. Imagine being told that you'll never walk again, that your legs will never work, that you'll spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair. Now imagine strapping into a robotic exoskeleton and standing up, taking steps, walking across a room under your own power, This is happening right now in 2025. The Rewalk Personal Exoskeleton is an FDA-approved medical device that allows people with spinal cord injuries to walk again. And it's not experimental. It's not a clinical trial. This technology is approved, it's covered by Medicare, and people are using it in their daily lives. The exoskeleton works by reading the subtle movements and weight shifts that the user makes with their upper body. The system interprets these signals and then activates motorized joints at the hips and knees to create a natural walking motion. The user still needs crutches for balance, but they're walking. Actually walking. If you watch videos of people using these exoskeletons for the first time, you'll see grown adults break down in tears. Because after years of being told that walking was impossible, they're doing it. They're standing at eye level with their friends and family. They're moving through the world in a way they thought was gone forever. The technology is only getting better. Newer versions are becoming lighter, more responsive, and easier to use. Some models are even being tested that don't require crutches at all. This is the kind of technology that changes lives in the most fundamental way possible, and it's available right now. Although this next technology could save even more lives. Artificial intelligence. Doctors. Detecting cancer years earlier. Let's talk about something that could save your life. Cancer detection has always been a race against time. The earlier you catch it, the better your chances of survival. But traditional methods rely on symptoms showing up first, which often means the cancer has already been growing for years. Not anymore. In 2025, artificial intelligence systems can detect cancer from a simple blood test years before any symptoms appear. We're talking about cancers that are so small and so early stage that conventional imaging wouldn't even see them. But AI can spot the molecular signatures in your blood that indicate something's wrong. Researchers at the University of Southern California have developed an AI tool that automates the detection of cancer in blood samples with 99% accuracy. 99%. That's better than most human doctors. And it's fast. The AI can analyze thousands of samples in the time it would take a human to examine one. Here's why this matters. Most cancers are highly treatable if you catch them early enough. The problem has always been that by the time someone feels sick enough to go to the doctor, the cancer might have already spread. But if you can detect it years earlier, when it's just a handful of abnormal cells, you can intervene before it becomes life-threatening. This technology is particularly relevant for anyone over the age of 35. That's when cancer risk starts to climb. And now, instead of waiting for symptoms, you can get a blood test that tells you if something's developing long before you'd ever feel it. We might be looking at a future where cancer becomes a manageable condition simply because we caught it early enough. And that future is being built right now by AI. Which brings us to another AI breakthrough that's just as impressive. Humanoid robots working real jobs. Remember when humanoid robots were just cool demonstrations at tech conferences? Those days are over. In 2025, humanoid robots are clocking in for real shifts at real jobs. And they're not just standing around looking impressive, they're actually working. BMW has humanoid robots on its factory floor right now. These aren't the old-school industrial robot arms that have been around for decades. These are bipedal robots that look vaguely human, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and the ability to move through spaces designed for human workers. They're called Figure 02, and they're performing tasks that previously required a human employee. Tesla's Optimus robot is also making serious progress. The latest version can manipulate objects with impressive dexterity, walk on uneven surfaces, and even respond to voice commands. These robots are working in warehouses, moving boxes, organizing inventory, and handling logistics. They're on assembly lines, installing parts and performing quality checks. And they're doing it faster and more consistently than human workers in many cases. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, this means job displacement. If a robot can do your job, that's a problem for you. but it's also a solution to labor shortages in industries that can't find enough workers. Whether you think that's utopian or dystopian probably depends on whether you own the robots or compete with them for employment. But either way, the era of humanoid robots in the workforce has officially begun. And those robots aren't just working in factories, they're also building something pretty incredible. 3D printed homes. Built in 24 hours, housing is expensive, construction is slow, builders are hard to find. But what if you could print a house, like actually print it, in 24 hours, for less than the cost of a used car? That's not a hypothetical anymore. In 2025, companies are using massive 3D printers to construct full-scale homes in a single day. These aren't tiny experimental structures. They're real houses with multiple rooms, plumbing, electricity, and all the features you'd expect from a traditional home. The process works by extruding a concrete-like material layer by layer to build up the walls of the house. A robotic arm follows a pre-programmed design, moving around the construction site and depositing material with incredible precision. In about 24 hours, you've got the shell of the house. Then you add the roof, windows, doors, and interior finishes, and you're done. The cost is where this gets really interesting. Some of these 3D printed homes are being built for as little as $4,000 to $10,000. That's not a down payment. That's the entire house. Now, that's for a basic model in a developing country. In the United States, the cost is higher, but still significantly cheaper than traditional construction. This technology has massive implications for the housing crisis. Imagine being able to build entire neighborhoods in weeks instead of years. Imagine providing affordable housing to people who have been priced out of the market. Imagine reconstructing disaster-stricken areas almost overnight. The visuals of these 3D printed homes being built are absolutely wild. Watching a robotic arm trace the outline of a house while concrete oozes out and solidifies into walls looks like something from a futuristic simulation. But it's real, and it's scaling up fast. Now, if printing houses sounds futuristic, this next one takes it to another level. Quantum GPS navigation without satellites. Here's one that sounds like pure science fiction, but is actually grounded in some of the most advanced physics on the planet. Traditional GPS relies on satellites orbiting the Earth. You need a clear line of sight to those satellites for the system to work, which means GPS fails underground, underwater, and obviously doesn't work on other planets. But quantum GPS doesn't need satellites at all. It uses quantum sensors to detect tiny changes in Earth's gravitational and magnetic fields, allowing for precise navigation without any external signal. And it works everywhere, deep underground in mines, under the ocean in submarines, and eventually on the surface of Mars. The technology is based on quantum mechanics, specifically the behavior of atoms in a supercooled state. These atoms are so sensitive to their environment that they can detect the slightest variations in gravity and magnetism. By measuring these variations, the system can determine its exact position with incredible accuracy. The military is obviously very interested in this. If your GPS signal can be jammed or spoofed by an enemy, that's a huge vulnerability. But quantum navigation can't be jammed because it doesn't rely on any external signal. It's completely self-contained. But beyond military applications, this technology opens up possibilities for deep-sea exploration, underground mining, and space exploration. NASA is looking at quantum navigation as a potential solution for autonomous vehicles on Mars. Because you can't exactly put GPS satellites in orbit around Mars and expect them to work the same way they do on Earth. Navigation is one of those technologies we take for granted until it doesn't work. And quantum GPS means it will work everywhere, all the time, no matter what. Speaking of things that work everywhere, here's a breakthrough in energy: solid-state batteries in electric vehicles. Electric vehicles have been held back by one major limitation: battery technology. Current lithium-ion batteries are heavy, expensive, take forever to charge, and don't hold enough energy to compete with gasoline on range. But solid-state batteries are about to change all of that. Toyota has announced a breakthrough in solid-state battery development that could deliver up to 932 miles of range on a single charge. For context, most electric vehicles today get between 250 and 350 miles. This is nearly triple that. And the charging time? Less than 10 minutes. That's faster than filling up a gas tank. Solid-state batteries replace the liquid electrolyte in traditional lithium-ion batteries with a solid material. This makes them safer because there's no risk of leakage or fire. It makes them lighter because the solid material is more energy-dense. And it makes them faster to charge because the solid electrolyte allows ions to move more efficiently. This is the kind of advancement that could finally make electric vehicles practical for everyone. Right now, range anxiety is real. People worry about running out of charge on a long trip. But if you can drive 900 miles on a single charge and then top up in 10 minutes, that anxiety disappears. The automotive industry is betting big on this technology. Multiple manufacturers are racing to be the first to bring them to market at scale. And the consensus is that by the late 2020s, solid-state batteries will be standard in electric vehicles. This is the breakthrough that could finally end the era of internal combustion engines, not through government mandates or environmental guilt, but through simple practicality. And practicality is also what makes this next technology so exciting. Smart AR, contact lenses. Augmented reality has been promised for years. We've seen the bulky headsets, the awkward glasses, the demos that never quite deliver. But what if you could have AR without any external device at all? What if the display was built directly into a contact lens that you just pop into your eye? Mojo Vision has done exactly that. They've created a smart contact lens with a tiny display built into it that can project information directly onto your retina. You're not looking at a screen. The image is being generated right in front of your eye, overlaid on top of your normal vision. The technology uses micro-LED displays that are smaller than a grain of sand. The lens itself contains sensors, processors, and a wireless radio that communicates with your phone. And it's all powered by a battery so small you can't even see it. What can you do with this? Imagine having turn-by-turn navigation appear in your field of vision while you're walking or driving. Imagine seeing real-time translations of foreign text hovering over signs and menus. Imagine getting notifications, checking messages, or looking up information without ever pulling out your phone. This is early-stage technology. Mojo Vision is still refining the product and working through regulatory approvals. But they've already demonstrated working prototypes that real people have tested. The implications for accessibility are huge. People with vision impairments could use these lenses to enhance contrast, magnify text, or even provide audio descriptions of their surroundings. Athletes could get real-time performance data without breaking focus. Surgeons could see medical imaging overlaid on a patient's body during an operation. We're still a few years away from seeing these in everyday use, but the fact that they exist at all, that you can actually put a tiny computer screen in a contact lens and have it work, is absolutely mind-blowing. Which brings us to our final technology, one you've probably heard about but might not realize just how far it's come. Robo-taxis, expanding to dozens of cities. And finally, we're back to where we started, self-driving taxis. Now, I know I said this was the least jaw-dropping item on the list, and compared to brain chips and flying cars, that's probably true. But let's not undersell what's happening here. Waymo is now operating in dozens of cities across the United States. Baidu is doing the same in China. These aren't limited pilot programs anymore. They're expanding rapidly, with hundreds of thousands of rides completed every month. And the safety record is actually better than human drivers. What makes this significant isn't just the technology, it's the scale. Because once autonomous vehicles become the norm, the entire transportation system changes. Car ownership might become unnecessary. Parking lots could be repurposed. Traffic congestion could decrease as vehicles coordinate with each other. Waymo has even started offering freeway and highway rides, which is a huge milestone. Highway driving is more complex than city streets in some ways, with higher speeds and faster decision-making required. The fact that these systems can handle it safely is a testament to how far the technology has come. There are still challenges. Regulation varies by city and state. Weather conditions can sometimes confuse the sensors. And there's the whole question of what happens to the millions of people who drive for a living. But the trajectory is clear. Autonomous vehicles are here, they're spreading, and they're not going away. So which one blows your mind the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe for more exciting content.